So something kind of weird happened today. A friend of ours gave us a little bit of a scare, and we thought he might have done something drastic. I mean, he did hurt himself, but we thought that he, might have went further with that. And it just kind of puts me in a weird mood. I think it would put anyone in a weird mood, but particularly myself, because suicide is something that I've struggled with myself and my family has struggled with, and honestly I grew up with it all around me, and it's something that I want to talk to you about. If you are someone that doesn't really understand that, or even if you do understand, I think it's really important to be careful about who you talk to about suicide and about people that have killed themselves. And it's something I see in our society a lot. We kind of glamorize it. We tell people that what a shame it is, but also, it's the same with kind of the mass shootings thing, where people know that if they do something that drastic, that people are going to talk about them. And what happens a lot of times, the reason that people are feeling this way is because they feel like they don't matter. They feel like they are having trouble being deserving of... There's so many different reasons someone can feel this way. But at the end of the day, putting such a big spotlight on someone that killed themselves kind of encourages other people that are thinking about it to do it also. There's actually statistics to show that, especially in a community, whenever there is a suicide and it's highly publicized, the suicide rate jumps after that. And I feel like I'm not really doing any service by talking about this, because it's such a weird catch-22, because the more you talk about it, the more likely someone is to actually take that step and do that. But also, if you don't talk about it, then it just festers and people are likely to take a step. So it's kind of finding that happy medium, and it's the way we talk about it. We often only talk about suicide when someone is gone. We almost never talk about suicide when someone has survived either an attempt or gotten better, or at least is doing better. Myself, I posted this photo a couple weeks ago, or last week actually. I was driving to work and there was just this light coming through the clouds. I just started to, this is a weird thing as a man to be like, I just started to cry. But I did. It wasn't because I was sad, it was because I was so happy to be alive and to be witnessing that. I don't know, it just felt really beautiful to me. There's so much beauty in the world that I'm just so happy that I've stuck around to see it, and so many wonderful people that I've met that have made such wonderful impacts on other people that I've made minor impacts on that have gone on to make bigger impacts on other people, that that's just, I can't imagine, I just can't imagine not being here. And I don't know, I do know, I totally understand why I felt the way that I did for as long as I did, and I'm not saying that I never will feel that way again, because I probably will. Because if you're struggling with something like this, it comes and goes in waves, and honestly the medication I'm on helps that a lot. It helps level it out. I don't have as high of highs and I don't have as low as lows. And I was worried about that initially, because I felt like, well, if I don't have those high highs, I'm not going to be as ambitious. One of the problems I had was that I was too ambitious when I had my manic stages, the up waves, and then I couldn't handle all of the things that I committed myself to. And I still have that problem. If I forget to take my medication and I all of a sudden have an up, a big up, I will commit myself to all kinds of things that I can't do. I don't have the time or the energy or even the interest to tackle those things when I'm at my regular state. And then other times when I don't take my medication, I find myself really down and almost immediately start thinking about suicide. And it's I don't know, I have no idea why that is. It's a chemical imbalance, and I hear a lot of people that don't understand this, and I get it that you don't understand it, because if you haven't experienced it, then it's so hard to explain. That's okay. You don't have to understand it, and actually, I'm happy for you that you don't. Please, please, please be understanding of people that are struggling with depression, bipolar disorder, any kind of mental illness, because we are struggling every day. It's not something that I feel like you should dwell on, and you shouldn't make that be the identifying factor for you as a person. And I try not to make that my identifying factor, just like I try not to make being an addict my identifying factor. But I do think, and this is the reason I'm making this video, that it is important to talk about it if you have those experiences, because so much of the conversation that's always happening about it are by people that care. They really genuinely care, but they don't understand it. There's just so much stuff that's worth living for and worth not just living in that quasi state of depression or addiction or whatever, where you're just kind of constantly torturing yourself because you feel whatever, you feel like you don't deserve happiness, or you feel like happiness should be easier than it is. And let me tell you, it's not easy, but it's so worth it. And it's a choice that you have to make. Every time you say, well, that's not me, you're just continuing that cycle, and it's all you. You are the one that's choosing not to go get help. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to shame you if you're struggling with something like this, because I get it. The first thing you need to do though is go get help. And I know it's scary, and I know it's hard, but go to a therapist, go to your doctor, see if you can at least try some medication. Seriously consider that it's not that you won't be yourself on the medication. Also, if you are not taking your medication because you feel like it makes you not yourself, but then you go and use drugs and alcohol, how is that making you more yourself? That's making you even less yourself. The thing is, people are like, well, I want to know what I really feel, or I want to know who I really am, or I want to be who I really am. We are always just who we are. There's no real version of you. The real version of you is whatever version exists right now. The real version of me is me on this medication. That's me. I just happen to have a medication that helps my brain chemistry balance itself. There's nothing weird about that. That's no different than not eating sugar and allowing, there's all kinds of ways that we intake things into our body that mess with our chemistry. There's no reason that you can't take something that's been proven to help balance those things in whatever way, especially if you naturally have some kind of deficiency or difficulty producing some chemical that you need in your brain. Why would you not do that? Especially for medications that don't have serious side effects. I just don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. Anyway, I kind of went on a side ramble there because I don't know who's watching. I don't know if you're watching because you're someone that does struggle with these things, or you're someone that doesn't really understand why people do, or cares but doesn't know how to communicate. Just please don't dwell on people that have taken their lives, people that have OD'd, people that have been arrested. Focus on the people that have gotten better, the people that have overcome these things, because that's who we need to be talking about. And we need to remember the people that we've lost to these diseases and these issues that our society honestly creates, just because I could go into a whole nother video about that, why we feel the way we do and why depression rises so much whenever a society is successful. It's because humans are not programmed to live this comfortably, and we feel like we don't deserve it. That can really get to us, and especially people that are already predisposed to these mental conditions, it could be a disaster. So just be empathetic to other people. Always try to listen more than you do talk in those situations. Just give someone the courage to go seek help from a professional, someone that knows what they're doing, and things will get better. And it's just amazing how absolutely there's so much darkness in the world, but there's also so much amazing light. I just hope that you stick around to see more of it. Thank you.